Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha, Upashama Prakarana, section 50. Sage Vasishtha continues to give insight into the process leading to liberation, moksha. For one who does not endeavor to realize the self, all his movements in this world are seeds for future pain and sorrow. All his actions are like the wanderings of a dead corpse. But he who is devoted to the self, he alone truly lives. Point is very simple. If you don't attain realization, and realization is not your goal, then what are you doing? You are moving into the same vicious circle. What you experienced in one embodiment, I will give you just highlights. First you come tormenting your mother intensively. Then you are a baby, and then people have to wait to see your naughtiness. Then you grow. Many things can happen while you are a baby, lots of problems. And if you go out of it, you are in a growing process. You become youth, teenager, and teenager has his own problems, his or her own problems. Then in other words, all these changes occur in everyone. Birth, growth, a change into transformation in your personality, aging, death, and disease that comes at any stage, infected by disease. And if you didn't attain liberation, the same cycle will come back. No matter in which embodiment you are, even if you're supposed to choose to be a fox, you have to be a baby fox. You have to grow. You have to face lots of challenges. I will not go into too much detail. Implying that we are repeating the same illusion again and again and again. That is one of the most important point for an aspirant to have a grip over. Learn lessons from your mistakes. Your mistakes are your guru. But don't give dakshina by mistakes. In other words, learn lesson and don't repeat it. And that in itself is a challenge. And also, in normal life, you don't get rid of your mistake in a sudden way. It has its own complex process. But only you go on if you are awakened to following the purpose of life. Then each time you make the same mistake, you don't have the same type of illusion. Illusion begins to dwindle gradually until you come to a stage you are making the mistake, but you're smiling. And finally, you don't make the mistake at all. Mistake cannot come to you even by mistake. So that process has to continue everywhere, in your office, in your kitchen, in whatever job you do, dealing with people. You suddenly forget you shouldn't have temper. But temper comes in like a tempest. But you come back and come to realize this is a mistake. And I should learn lesson from it. But don't go into the mind that how many times I've made the mistakes? What will happen now? I'm getting such punishment because of my mistakes. It will take 6 or 7 births to pay it. Now you are using your mental energy, misusing it. Instead of turning that energy to God within you, to your sadhana, to your japa, now you are turning your energy in a totally different way. Keeping that in view, let me move on now. By thinking of objects of the world, and by entertaining desires for the pleasures of the senses, the mind becomes increasingly involved in the world process. Important to recognize how is your mind, in what state. Very broad division. Is your mind entirely devoted to the worldly thought? Or is your mind finding a way out to remedy the problem of the world process? Simple formula behind that: if you continue, first you recognize to a certain degree, if you know that the way your mind is moving is negative, then don't repeat it again and again. That movement should be cut down by shifting your angle in such a way that your mind should not feel distressed. You have to outfox your mind. Let me come back to more precise way of telling you. Gita gives you this topic in a very condensed manner. Dhyayato vishayan punsah sangasteshu pajayate. By constantly thinking of objects of the world, you become attached to it. Try to understand what the broader people generally think. When I told objects, the mind was, I'm not thinking of objects, but I'm worried about myself. That also is object. mind focused on all worldly thoughts, even the idea you are the body, is not a pure idea. You are never the body. But my tendency is to move very high, but let me come down. In other words, when you are not thinking at all, you are pressured by load of objects. So don't say, I've not been thinking anything. I just quieted myself on my chair. But you are thinking of objects. It's the object that has presented to you a field of delight, and somehow you find yourself helpless. And therefore your mind has withdrawn, gone into a kind of half-sleep state, bored. Even that state is Vishaya Chintan. You are letting the world of objects, letting the world of magical reality, Mayaik reality, that world burdening your mind. Vishaya Chintan. So Vishaya Chintan is very broad. And sometimes people become addicted to a certain type of Vishaya Chintan. Some fear enters your heart, and since you have not found something positive, now you become addicted to fear. There's nothing to fear about, but your mind withdraws it. You close your eyes, go under your blanket, and the fear enters your dream like a snake. Let me come back again. Simple point. So, dhyayato vishayan punsa. If you allow your mind to constantly dwell upon objects of the world, but this is an immense, subtle art to move away from mind being so involved with objects of the world, to mind moving away, relaxed, looking at the Divine Mother in you, looking at God within you who is handling the entire universe. And why have I been so keeping the burden of worries when the great jet is waiting for me? I'm joking. Coming back to the statement of the Gita, dhyayato vishayan punsa sangas teshu pajayati. Whatever type of mind you maintain, maintaining again and again, that means kind of abhyasa, unwittingly, you are doing japa of that negative state. Unwittingly you are allowing abhyasa to occur. In the law of Brahma, whatever abhyasa you do, it will give its strength. That's karmic law. Now, in order to change it, dhyayato ishwaran punsa, instead of turning to the worldly worries, turn again and again to those things you read in the scriptures that lift your mind. God's glory, the power of Lord Hanuman who takes away your miseries, the divine grace that works wonders. And so if you are doing that, asangasteshu, then you are living in the world, but you will not be attached, dependent. Let me give you first the simple statement from the Gita. Dhyayato vishayan punsa sangasteshu pajayati. By constantly thinking of objects, you become attached to objects. Sangat sanjayate kama. The attachment comes in your subconscious level, and it becomes the basis for your desires. Your mind is now desiring to get the object that has fascinated you. You are living. You wake up in the morning, will this day be a wonderful day? And that will depend upon if your desires are fulfilled. As long as you see some auspicious sign, a mongoose jumping around, you think, now my desires are going to be fulfilled. It's a Mangal day. But you feel that desire is not going to be fulfilled, then your whole day goes bad. So that's the role of your desires. Led by desires, you are under the control, and you are facing two situations: fulfillment of desire or obstruction of desire. In both cases, Gita uses the word krodha. Krodha means, in this context, agitation. If fulfillment has come, it agitates your mind. Frustration has come, that also agitates you. One seems to agitate you in a kind of a positive way, but not really positive. Another does it in a negative, to give you another easy to understand. If you are driving your car, you have two possibilities on the road. The road can be ascending road, can be moved upward. In that case, you are not following, you are not getting the object of your desire. When you get the object of your desire, you are moving on a road that is already bent in such a way that your car doesn't have to work hard. Rather, you simply you have to control the movement. Car just moves by itself. So, in both cases, you need to control. If the car is going on the slope down, it is enjoyable, but you have to control it. If the car has to move up, it is not enjoyable. But it is a project in which you will accomplish something that you are working for. Both cases, you have to be the master, not be led by ups and downs on the road. You have to control the upward movement, you have to control your downward movement. You have to be the master. But if you follow desire process, you are not the master. So, kamat krodhodbhiya, krodhat bhavati sammoha. If you allow your mind to be constantly overpowered by the superficial experience of gaining and losing, of prosperity and adversity, then what happens? Your intellect loses its sharpness. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. You are drawn to moha, not to divine love. Moha is love that has become twisted. A baby constantly receiving affection and nourishment from mother. The idea of growing up, the baby says, I don't want to grow up. It can be other way around. Mother loving the baby so much. The idea that the baby has to go away to school and college, that the mother wants to hold the baby on. Instinct. That's called moha. Prem, moha would be cozy, good, but prem is your cultured and more healthy relationship. Person whom you love, you see the person flourish, grow, becoming strong, having spiritual success. A mother bird sees the baby bird to flying. So in early stage, when a mother bird goes on kicking the baby bird to make the bird fly. With each kick, the mother bird is facing the challenge. How can I do that? Love. Or put the baby to a successful life. Love that will distort the life. That's moha. Love that will allow your life to be successful. Prem. The prem is not easy to understand. It doesn't have sentimental appeal. It has a deeper heart coordination. Heart level becomes joyous. But you have to figure it out. What taste do you want to have? A superficial taste without nourishment, soda water, or you want to have that sea water. ध्यायतो विषयान् संगस्तेषु प्रजा संगात् संजायते काम कामात् क्रोधो भिजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोह. This is sammoha. Moha does not allow you to let your prem, love, operate in a nice way. Sammohat pratibhansh. Your power of recollection stops. Power of recollection is not ordinary remembrance. It is a mystic recall. I am not the body, I am not the mind. I am Satchidananda. I am born to attain liberation. That is my purpose. If you have that type, that recollection will not occur if you are following this process. That's called Smriti Vransh. All that you think that you are just this body, and all that you expect if the body moves away to have a better body, in a better place, if Miami Beach has not been suitable, let me be born in Australia. And so forth. That's called Smriti Vransh. Smriti Vranshat Buddhi Nasho. You have your intellect, but you don't use it. That's called Buddhi Nash. You have the best of medicines, but you don't want to apply, to use the medicines. You have best of resources, but you don't want to use them. Buddhi is your best resource for attaining enlightenment. Buddhinashat pranashyati. So, this stops the progress of the soul. Figuratively described, you become destroyed. But destroyed is, you can never be destroyed. Soul in you will remain with that potential. You can reverse the process. Instead of constantly thinking about objects, let your mind go into scriptures. Do your integral yoga in daily life. Allow your mind to deal with inspirational thoughts. What has caused this entire universe? What makes a little spider do such engineering job that even people with PhD don't have that skill? And you don't have to go far and wide. What makes your eyes wink without your noticing, without receiving your command? How does all the organic functions go on in your body? All this, you are living in a world of marvel of marvels. And in spite of all this, miserable. Miserable, miserable. Repeating every day, miserable, miserable. That's what your reality becomes. But in spite of all this, turning your mind to positive, and that will not be according to your ego, how much positive will be moving. It will be spontaneous. A tree doesn't grow out of the ego, I want to grow out. No, grow, yes, aspiration to grow, that's wonderful. But now let the nature and all that is needed must follow in a persistence, with persistence and patience. So that's what I have given to Vishaya Chintan, what Vishaya Chintan means and what does it do. By Vishaya Chintan, mind becomes increasingly involved in the world process. This is called fattening the mind. In spiritual movement, fattening is not a commendable attainment. Thinner the mind, better. By considering the body as the self, and by developing attachment towards one's wife and children, and towards the objects of the world, the mind becomes fattened. Reading this, generally, if you are not studying under guidance, all that you think is simply move away. If flower makes you be attached to it, run away from it. Moving away from attachment implies try to understand what is drawing you to objects, what is drawing you to people around you. And that which is drawing you is divine. So in every attachment, if you begin to switch your mind and understand that God within the object is drawing you, you are instinctively drawn to happiness. And that happiness is your own essential nature. Soul is all absolutely happy. However, that is the highest goal. As you grow, you have always a challenge to choose between moha and prem. Moha, delusional love. Prem, real love. And there is always degrees of success. In other words, sometimes you have 90% moha and 5-10% interest in the person's health. It can be 50% moha and 50% pure love. It can be 40% moha and 60% pure love. Now, the moment that is mathematical stage has reached, you are in the positive movement. So, even if you walk, there is always possibility for you to slip down. You can never be expert in walking It's complete security. But that doesn't hinder your progress. In other words, the flexibility to slip will be always there if you are normal. Only you will not slip. You have the, and if you slip, you can correct yourself very fast. Now, coming back to a very practical point, it says, if by developing attachment to your wife and children, now if you learn this, and say, now I shouldn't be attached. It is not so. You will be more loving to your wife and children than before. Attachment always means you are expecting something back. Attachment means you are looking at those only from the physical point of view. If your child comes well dressed with good hair, make like. If your hair is disturbed, shout at the child. I'm joking. Your love for the child, if you are moving away from attachment, then your whole heart is, how can I lead my child to real happiness? And what have I learned? Real happiness is if I lead my child to prayer, japa, and spiritual culture given to the child. Now your prem is operating through you. Certain degree of moha you will continue to have, but at the same time, that moha that you have will not control your prem. If that is so, it is a cultured relation. And it's wonderful. So, when I say don't be attached to your wife and children, it means be attached to God in them, not to their nose or ears. Be attached to God in them. And that again is a progressive movement. What does it mean? You have to figure that out. And the ideal is when you begin to have that type of love, your love will not be confined only to your wife and children. Your love will become for all. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. May all be happy. Your mind will understand, if I want my child to be happy and healthy, you have to also see that the world wherein he lives it is in harmony and peace. But if you were to say, I bless my child to very prosperous and let the world go to hell, what have you done? You have cursed your child. The child's prosperity in a world of ugly people, that's not real blessing. So your blessing has to be for your child, and in order to secure that blessing for the whole world. You are connected with the whole world. That's a wiser level. So that's what we say, move away from all near and dear ones. And God becomes your near and dear. Which implies whatever you come in contact with, all personalities that you work with, there must be loving relation, a relation of compassion, understanding, patience, and a relation of a divine sensitivity that people are God in them. You are serving Siya Ram Mai Sab Jag Jani. You are serving God in people. Even if you have helped a pet dog to be free of headache, you have served God. I'm taking it to a very advanced level, but that's the goal. So therefore, the project of vairagya, dispassion, or moving away from attachment, should not be viewed as a kind of a miserable project. There is a disciplinary stage. In disciplinary stage, you need to be patient. But your whole life should not be in a disciplinary stage. Your life should be so joyous. The question of detachment does not arise. A wave is told, don't be attached to mama waves, papa waves. Be attached to the ocean. But the last sentence is not told. Simply says, don't attach. The wave is in big trouble. Whom to say wave goodbye here? But if the wave were to understand another message, that be attached to the ocean. If you love the ocean, then you are loving every wave in the perfect manner. If you love God, then you are loving every individual in a profound way. You become a flower wafting fragrance for all. And that's not limited by you. You don't have the calculation. Is the person to be helped by me or not, etc. Nothing. If you are a sandalwood tree, you don't distinguish who is coming to get my fragrance. So that's the meaning of, by developing, not to develop attachment to wife and children, to near and dear ones, and towards the objects of the world. The mind becomes, by being attached, allowing the mind to become gripped by moha, delusional love, you are stopping your progress. By the intensification of the ego, by increasing sense of possession, and by considering the body as the seat of enjoyments, the mind is led to fatten itself. What brings obesity to your mind? Such a mind is rendered gross. 3 things you should not eat. If you want to cure the obesity of your mind. Kama, Krodha, and Lobha. Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Kama, passionate desire, just desire. Krodha, anger. When Kama and Krodha weaken your will, then you are never satisfied how much you want. Greed. Kam, Krodha, Lobha. These are described as gateways to hell. This fattening of the mind is the cause of numerous embodiments. The obesity of the mind, what will do? Push you into the countless embodiments. And abounding with countless births and deaths, mind is repeatedly infested with serpents of sorrow and misery. With the increase of mental and physical ailments, the spirit in a person increasingly believes in the reality of the world. The more you are kicked, the more you are slapped, the more you are thwarted, the more you view the world as real. And you don't want to move away from it. But figure that out. How does it happen? And the more you suffer pain and sufferings based on your physical body, the more you become attached to your body. The more you become free from disease, relaxed. A healthy condition, your whole body moves like breeze. Now your mind doesn't have, mind easily understands I am not the body. So spiritual teachings are very tricky. So you are not the body, many people start ignoring the body in a very irrational manner. But that's not the message. You are not the body, therefore find out how can you reach that in a practical way. Simple psychology, if you keep your body in abnormal state by not having when to rise, when to sleep, everything in discordance, your body is becomes so important for you, you can't live without it even for a moment. Can't relax. But to let your body be trained by yoga, relaxation, yoga nidra, and your mind by satsanga, then the idea I am not the body is no longer a problem. Rather, it's a problem. Why do you say so? The body doesn't. Body is there, but I'm not the body. Mind is there, but your real I is not the mind. Senses are there, but you are not the senses. But coming to that stage of saying not requires profound harmony to be brought. Discordance is dispelled by harmony, by melody. Malady is removed by melody. So mellowed out your struggle. Nourished by the milk of evil desires. Now, beautiful similes are being given, highly poetic work. But this poetic literature is more than elegant writings of philosophy. Nourished by the milk of evil desires, fanned by the enjoyments of the senses, and caressed by infatuation, the serpent of the mind grows into a mighty poisonous cobra. Mind is being compared to cobra. And how can you make your mind a cobra? Or what does it mean? Nourished by the milk of evil desires. Remember, civil desire? No, evil desire. If you want to make your mind a cobra, not pure desires, not virtuous desires, evil desires. But when the cobra starts eating the evil desires and nourished by it, you should fan it. By the enjoyments of the senses. have some pleasure trip. That's not enough. Create some situation of terrible infatuation. Spice. With all this surprise, miracle, mind has become a cobra. Then, beaten by the cobra of the mind, one is led to suffer through numerous embodiments. While ordinary poison gives rise to pain or to a burning sensation and possibly to a fainting condition, the poison of the cobra mind continues to yield the unending pain of the world process, causing intense sorrow and suffering for the soul. O Rama, now another example is being given, the body identity. The poisonous tree of mind grows on the basis of body identity. And numerous expectations are the ramifying. The body identity is the field. Mind is described as a tree growing in the field of body identity. Numerous expectations are its ramifying branches. Imaginations are the shining leaves. Think of the tree. It needs to have branches, it needs to have leaves. This is mind is this type of tree, poisonous tree. Numerous worries and anxieties are its blossoms. Birth, death, and various afflictions are the fruits. Sweet and bitter fruits. Desires for enjoyment are like the buds decking this tree. This poisonous tree is deeply rooted and is like a mountain for those who do not take recourse to practice of vichar. This is a poisonous tree, so deep rooted. The soul is constantly trapped in this tree of the poison, going through the cycle of birth and death endlessly. And the root of the tree is so strong, it's a Himalayan strength has entered the root. But if you were to inquire and practice vichar, the Vedantic meditation, practice meditation, but lead your mind to understand who am I, and bring to your mind affirmation, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am Brahman. Meditate on Om. You are, as physical body, you relate to the entire physical world. As a mind, you relate to the cosmic mind. And the physical world is projection of the mind. Mind in turn is like a cloud. When the moisture of the cloud moves away, what is there? There is nothing but the sky. So I am that sky-like absolute Brahman. It is this type of thinking that makes the root of the poisonous tree now becomes vulnerable. Otherwise, that root is like a mountainous strength. Or consider the mind as a mighty elephant roaming in the mountains of the outgoing senses. Now another simile, mind is like a mount, like an elephant. Not a good one. It's a wild elephant. And this elephant needs to have a whole area, field, a mountainous valley. So the mountainous valley is the world of pleasure. There are lots of ups and downs. Illusion and infatuation are its eyes. Moha and Brahm, these are his eye collidiums. One eye has the collidium of Moha, another Brahma, delusion. Infatuation and delusion. Infested with worms of hatred. Now the elephant is a very big body. The whole body is infested. Infested with hatred, jealousy. It is terrifying in its appearance. Though it desires to feast on the lotuses of divine qualities, due to its restlessness, it tramples upon them. Another very good simile. The elephant goes into a lake, attracted to the lotuses, but ends up crushing those lotuses. So if your mind has become like this mountain, like the elephant, due to negativity, now the desire to be good will attract the mind, but not by proper method, by hook or by crook, more by crook. So in other words, when conceited mind is elephant, when a conceited mind looks for developing virtues and thinks it has gotten virtues, but all that it has done is crushed everything it has. Sincerity goes wild. Humility develops wings or horns. Every virtue that he thinks he has gotten, he has messed with. Attachment and hatred are its mighty tusks, raga dvesha. Then it is ever engaged in rooting out the trees of patience, faith and endurance. And what are those with the root, with the tusks? The elephant head, the strength, what the elephant likes to do. Go on digging out and shaking off your patience, your faith, your endurance. O Rama, with the shining weapon of intellect sharpened by the practice of spiritual inquiry, intellect becomes the weapon to control that elephant. Just like elephant is controlled by an ankush. It's a metallic instrument with a sharp edge. The mahout sits on the neck and just keeps it, the sharp edge towards the head, a sensitive part of the head. So whenever the mahout wants to control the elephant, because when it's going wrong way, a little touch of that ankush, and the elephant comes under control. And that type of ankush comes from your purified intellect. As intellect starts gaining purity, now this elephant mind, you have a control over it. You can tame the elephant, you can put the ankush on it, and to come to that state, the elephant becomes such a pet that you don't need the ankush either. You attain nirankush tripti, your satisfaction that has no limit and no restriction. Ordinary life, whatever satisfaction you get, it is under a certain condition. The elephant seems very obedient, but is under condition, because Mahavat has a little ankush on his neck. Every satisfaction of yours has an ankush. It is Trishul actually, implying whatever you are gaining is in the world of time, space, causation. And that cannot really be permanent attainment, no matter how wonderful attainment. So therefore, your mind doesn't have, your heart doesn't have real tripti, real satisfaction. But when you attain enlightenment, in that movement, now your mind gains the elephant simile, becomes absolute pet and has absolute satisfaction. And with this I will conclude for now. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukum Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashchid Dukha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Hari Om Tat Sat.